TVN, a broadcast network committed to serving you the very best in online and offline television programming. Situated in the serene environment of Guzape, Abuja FCT, TVN, as it is fondly called, caters to a wide variety of audience via carefully orchestrated mind-blowing programs in the areas of fashion, business, politics, entertainment, religion, movies, food and health, culture and lifestyle, events around the globe, sports and foreign news. Whatever your inclination, we've got you completely covered with programs like Issues of the Moment, The Patriot, Daybreak Nigeria, Matter Africa, TVN Business Time, Healthy Living, From the Cradle, Stay Inspired, Entertainment Gist, Movie Hour, Hits Paradise, among others. All designed to keep you thoroughly informed, entertained, at the edge of your seat and yearning for more. A tour around our domain will reveal a highly dedicated staff force and a state-of-the-art facility and equipment for high-definition quality broadcast, making our station your #1 choice in advertising your business and propagating your ideas. We are currently on Nightcomsat doing our test transmission for takeoff in the nearest future. Television Nigerian is located in Nigeria at Television Nigerian House, Guzape Hilltop Mansion, beside Guzape White House, Guzape Abuja FCT, and in the United Kingdom at 45 Ancient House, 48 Aerodrome Road, Beaufort Park, Colindale, London. For inquiries,
it just pushed me.
So find all of that juiciness and more on Posh Spice, the show that brings you all of the most entertaining content from the entertaining world of entertainment.
That's lit, man!
So watch me bring sizzling hot content to you on Television Nigerian. You can watch us on our Night Concert platforms, and if you are not a fan of television, watch us on our social media platforms and our web TV, of course.
Don't miss it. Seriously, don't miss it. My job literally depends on it.
Daybreak Africa. What makes it amazing? Is it the stories? Is it the wildlife? Is it the people? Daybreak Africa. News across Africa.
It's a lovely Wednesday morning, the 18th day of the month of March in 2020. And as always, this is Daybreak Africa, reaching you live on Television Nigerian, a program that helps you kickstart your day, puts your day in the right direction. We bring you details from politics, governance, economy, business, healthy living, also entertainment, education, and everything you need to know. I'm Aisha Salihu.
Now, Priscilla Adishala, welcome. Thank you for joining us this beautiful Wednesday morning.
Priscilla, you look beautiful as always.
Oh, you look gorgeous. You look like somebody that has, $1 million in her account. But it's fine.
Right?
I'll get there.
Okay, so how have you been managing the heat wave? Because it's still there.
Yeah.
Staring us in our faces.
I think it helps when you get into your office that somebody turns on the AC. You just remember this is how life should be. Right. But then other than that, when you're on the road, when you're, trying to get from
especially
one place to
managing the
another,
traffic in Abuja
exactly,
here.
it's a lot, but we're getting the hang of it. I mean, we're human beings. If there's anything, we can always, adapt. That's just what it is.
Well, it's a good news for the ruling All Progressives Congress, the party in Nigeria here. The national chairman of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, Comrade Adams Oshomole, has declared the party will bounce back stronger and better despite the recent crisis it went through. Addressing members of the National Working Committee, NWC, which had in attendance pro and anti-Oshomole groups, the chairman said the NWC of the party was united. Well, that's actually a good news for the ruling APC
Exactly.
because for a couple of weeks now they've been battling crisis in the party, especially the national chairman Adams Oshomole. He had court cases, but just yesterday the appeal court dismissed the case and reaffirmed him as the national chairman. And then that was on Monday, and then just yesterday he had the national working committee. There was a meeting. He chaired the meeting, and then he also addressed the press in the process. He was looking so excited, vibrant as always, and then now he's saying the party is moving forward and no grudges whatsoever.
Well, the fact is, at least now he knows all the people that are against him. But it's actually very interesting. So one of the qualities of a leader is the fact, that you can unite the people around you. So even though there are people that don't entirely support him, he should be, as the leader, he should be, open-minded about it. Because
you recall just yesterday, I did talk about it yesterday on the program where I said one of the qualities of a leader is forgiveness. And then when you forgive people, you're able to move on. You're able to bring the house together again.
Because truth is APC, and he is the national chairman. There's nobody that can unite APC as much as him. So he just needs
to think that the national leader even came and backing him, even the president. It was just obvious that Adams Oshomole is getting back in power. I saw some reports yesterday making the rounds, even in his hometown in Edo State. There, some stakeholders of the All Progressives Congress were out there talking about the whole issue and how much Oshomole has made a success out of the whole issue with the courts. But then, I think he's a fighter.
Exactly. This is definitely a big stride for him, and I like the way he's handling it. I mean, for the longest time, it actually looks like it was going to affect him, negatively. In fact, some people were actually almost certain that he was not going to get his position back. But he fought hard, he had his position back, and now he's back in power. Let's just see how everything goes.
Well, moving away from politics a bit, we're still talking about the coronavirus outbreak, especially in Nigeria. And then just yesterday, we saw some reports making the round that another lady came into the country from the UK, and then she has although she's in self-isolation now, she contracted the COVID-19. And then you'd recall on this program, I think some days ago, I was talking about how come the federal government, Federal Ministry of Health, no one has really placed a travel ban. But the good news now is that the federal government has ordered government officials from traveling overseas over the rampaging coronavirus epidemic. This was a decision after the Presidential Task Force on Coronavirus had a closed-door meeting in Abuja. The secretary to the government of the Federation, who doubles as chairman of the task force, Bas Mustafa, said the ban takes immediate effect.
I like that. We've been waiting for them to, do things like this. It's important for the government to have some kind of ban on traveling. Because remember before now it was an Italian man, right? And there's somebody coming in from the UK. So it's obvious that if we keep, if
we keep our borders open,
exactly, we will keep
and our airports open. We just allow anyone come in and go out. We keep recording these cases.
And knowing the way COVID-19 spreads, once it starts to spread, we're not going to be able to, get a good grasp easily. So let's just make sure that we prevent it from even coming.
Right. Because the COVID-19 is spreading really fast, very, very fast. And then yesterday you were talking about how much we're not taking testing very seriously.
Exactly.
Because some people in Nigeria may have some of these symptoms. They are like fever symptoms, right? They may have these symptoms, but they do not really see the need to go ahead and test themselves. But the only people who see it as very compulsory and necessary for them to do that are people who have come in contact with people who have been confirmed to have this COVID-19.
Exactly.
Like in the case of the woman who came in from the UK, she had attended a meeting with the Prime Minister of Canada, the wife of the Prime Minister of Canada, and then that's Sophie Trudeau. And then she realized that she had come in contact with that lady, and then was confirmed to have contracted the coronavirus disease. But now, this lady, immediately she came into the country, she took the initiative to go on self-isolation as she started experiencing some of these symptoms. And then that means she took herself for testing. She tested herself and she realized she had, I don't know, but then I feel it's better if we encourage testing.
Yes, like I said, I just think testing will help. Even apart from that, when we're conscious about testing, I even think the testing should be regular. It should not even just be one time.
And it should not just be when you have the symptoms.
Exactly.
Because Idris Elba, you'd recall, the British
Yeah.
actor, he didn't even
He said he didn't
experience
have
any
any
of the
symptoms.
symptoms, right? But then he knew he was also at that meeting, and then he realized, I have to go for testing. I have to just
It's quite interesting that so many people from that same meeting,
because he didn't even have
contracted
the symptoms,
virus.
right?
And okay, all these people are being conscious, they're getting tested, and they're finding out that they have coronavirus. It's important for us to keep testing people.
And then I particularly like the fact that the federal government has banned public officials from traveling abroad, because you don't know where you can go and then how you're going to contract this virus and then bring it to
The
Nigeria.
shores of Nigeria. And the truth is, at this point, I feel like we need to be more careful, because other African countries are taking very, 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 very interesting initiatives.
Especially South Africa.
Exactly, they're making good efforts. So let's make good effort. Fact is, we've not really, had that many cases, but we should keep it that way, shouldn't we? We should keep it at the point where we don't have that many cases. So let's just
because we know that in Nigeria here, if people are not testing themselves and then we have more cases, it's not going to be easy on us.
It's not going to be
As much as the international community is commending our efforts towards the fight and then towards curbing the outbreak in the country, especially with regards to the Italian men. I think we need to do more, and we need to ensure that our borders remain shut. Because some people, even on social media, were making jokes about it, that how do you shut your borders to rise and then you open it to coronavirus? But thank God the federal government has done something with regards to that. But moving away from Nigeria, we cannot overemphasize all of the issues happening in Nigeria. We'd have to go over to our African frontiers, where we get details of what's happening in other countries in Africa. Stay with us. News Across Africa is up next.
Welcome to News Across Africa on Daybreak Africa. A day after Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed announced a coronavirus support package for the whole of Africa, the donor in question, Chinese business mogul Jack Ma, confirmed the donation with details. The donation, under the aegis of the Jack Ma Foundation, confirmed that millions of prevention and containment materials will be flown into Africa to combat the potential surging for demand for medical supplies and equipment in Africa. Jack Ma Foundation and Alibaba Foundation will donate to each one of the 54 African nations 20,000 testing kits, 100,000 masks, and 1,000 medical-use protective suits and face shields. The supplies will be flown to the Ethiopian capital, from where Prime Minister Abiy has agreed to lead in managing the logistics and disbursement efforts. The Malawian president, Peter Mutharika, has refused to assent to the electoral reforms bill passed by parliament last February. President Press Officer Mgeme Kalilani told the press in Malatia that the president had also rejected a parliamentary committee recommending to fire heads of the Malawi Electoral Commission (MEC). The president avers that the bill does not meet the test of constitutionality and lawfulness, and that it infringes on the principle of separation of powers with various arms of the government. Though Parliament's Public Accounts Committee (PAC) had recommended the sacking of the MEC chair Jane Ansah and her fellow commissioners, the president held that the report was short on whether the commissioners were giving any particulars of incompetence or incapacity. The European Union and 8 Western and North African countries called to stop the fighting in Libya on Tuesday for humanitarian reasons in light of the threat of the coronavirus pandemic. According to a statement released by the US Embassy in Libya, the embassies of Algeria, France, Germany, Italy, and the Netherlands, the UK, and the US, along with a delegation of the EU and the government of Tunisia, call on all parties in the Libya conflict to declare an immediate humanitarian cessation of hostilities, as well as a halt to the continuing transfer of all military equipment and personnel into Libya in order to allow local authorities to respond to the unprecedented public health challenge posed by COVID-19. In sports, the 2019 World Rugby Player of the Year is out for the next 3 months due to a leg injury sustained in his sides. Super Rugby lost to the Blues at Newlands late last month. Suter, along with head coach John Dobson, addressed reporters at the Stormers High Performance Centre in Belleville on Tuesday, where an injury report was provided. Suter made a startling revelation that Detroit's injury, was potentially career-threatening. He had a medical emergency after the Blues game. He had a hematoma that developed into an acute compartment syndrome. The team doctor added it's a medical emergency because if you don't pick it up early, they lose blood supply to the leg and they lose the legs. And that's so much we have for you on News Across Africa on Daybreak Africa.
Many thanks for staying tuned. This is still Daybreak Africa, reaching you live on television Nigeria. And that was News Across Africa, where we saw stories making the rounds in Africa. And one major story that caught my attention there is that of one of the richest men in China, Jack Ma, who has actually donated some medical relief funds to about 55 African countries. Jack Ma is coming out to say this is his own support. Everyone in the world now is putting one or two, making it possible one or two ways to lend their voice and support to curb the outbreak of the coronavirus. Part of the medical reliefs are nose masks. Some are also testing kits and also other medical reliefs that Jack Ma, materials that Jack Ma is providing. And I think it's a good one from him.
It's definitely very good because, truth be told, if you can do something, then definitely do it. And there's so many equipments that are going to be donated to African countries, and it's a lot because fact is African countries need this. As much as we've not really recorded that many cases of coronavirus, imagine having all these things to definitely help. Even the fact that we have testing materials, that is something that we really need.
Right, because for the longest time, if we do not encourage testing, how do people know if they are actually infected or not?
Exactly, how do they know? We cannot just most people that even get tested, if we're being honest, they come from high-risk areas. They're the ones that have, the consciousness, okay, let's get tested. But they get in contact with other people that don't realize. So that's why it's important for us to get, people to, be conscious and continuously do testing. It's very, very important.
But it's a good thing for Jack Ma, because I feel if other philanthropists can take a cue from that, or other people, whether or not you're a philanthropist, you can take a cue from that. Just contribute in your own little way. Anything you can do at all just to save the world, because indeed this is a pandemic that's affecting the world.
Exactly.
Well, moving on to another story making the rounds in Nigeria here. The federal government has reiterated that the Argungu International Fishing and Cultural Festival is not just a symbol of our unity, but also a testament of its resolve to build local capacity and diversify the economy. At the flag off of the motor rally of the festival in Abuja, President Muhammadu Buhari said that the return of the festival after a 10-year break due to security issues is another testimony that the efforts of the federal and state governments to restore peace and security to the country is yielding fruits. Argungu Festival has been in the news for the longest time.
Exactly.
You recall just last week, the president went to Kebbi State to flag off the festival, and then something happened.
Exactly.
Right? Something happened. One very excited Nigerian, according to the press statement by Femi Adesina, said this young man it seemed like he was trying to attack the president, but then Femi Adesina came out to say it wasn't an attack. He was just excited, and he out of excitement and curiosity, he wanted to say hello to the president. But now the president is coming out to say Argungu Festival is a symbol of unity for the country, and that it should be encouraged. To think that after 10 years, the festival has not been running because of the security challenges in the country. But as it is now, it is back and it's rolling. So it's a good one there.
Great. I love everything, everything that represents African culture and African heritage. Every time we indulge in these things, it just, gives us the vibe that we're getting our roots back, and we're in contact with, the African culture and it's definitely beautiful because if we're not in contact with our culture, then who will?
I know, right? So still talking about party politics, let us go over to Bayelsa State now. The Bayelsa State Governor, Senator Doroye Dere, although he's a governor now, but we're still addressing him as senator, met with President Muhammadu Buhari behind closed doors on Tuesday, just yesterday. Addressing State House correspondents after the meeting, the Bayelsa State Governor said he was visiting the president privately, adding that it was his first call on him since he assumed office as governor. I saw the report on the news yesterday, and then he was addressing the press. He looked really excited, and he he said the president received him well. It didn't even look like he was a member of the People's Democratic Party. Right.
That's very commendable. I mean, over time we've noticed that the president tries as much not to play party politics or not to be biased, and I really respect that. And it's obvious that Bayelsa State Governor is actually very, very excited about their meeting and all of that.
Right.
And that's definitely great.
Well, we're still talking about Nigeria. As always, we cannot exhaust all of the issues in Nigeria here. As much as this program is centered around Africa, its focal point is on Nigeria, but then we still go over to other African countries. But still in line with Nigeria, you'd recall just last week there was an incident, a fire incident in Abule Ado, an explosion that happened in Abule Ado, just in Lagos State. And then the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, actually came out to ask people to donate about 2 billion naira just to help save these people, the victims, as a relief fund. And then some Nigerians were against it, some Nigerians received it with mixed reactions. Some people were of the opinion that how can a state government be asking people to donate money, while others didn't see anything wrong with it. But as it is now, the Nigerian Senate has actually taken it to the red chambers to ask the federal government of its intervention. Stay with us. There's a report on that. Stay with us.
The Nigerian Senate has urged the federal government as well as members of the National Assembly to donate to the sum of 2 billion naira to Abule Ado Emergency Relief Fund, Lagos State. The upper chamber also directed its committees on petroleum downstreams, gas resources, and petroleum upstreams to investigate the remote and immediate causes of the explosion with a view to prevent reoccurrence and report back to the Senate in 2 weeks. These were part of the resolutions made after adopting a motion on the need to investigate explosion at Abule Ado, Lagos State, moved by Senator Adeola Solomon.
Nigeria living around the axis or going about their legitimate endeavor now lives in justifiable fears of not losing their lives or those of loved ones from these frequent explosion, fire disaster, but also their properties and investment.
The lawmaker had in the body of his motion noted that the explosion caused no fewer than 23 deaths. Senator Solomon also recalled that there have been a reoccurrence of similar explosions in recent times in the same area as in 2016, 2018 Abule Egba, 2019 Abule Egba, 2020 Ijegun, and 2020 Ilegbo Okodo. Supporting the motion, other lawmakers also made their reservations of the unfortunate national tragedy.
Incidents in Lagos is just an incident so too many. And because from what my colleague has said, you can see that it has happened even twice. This will be the third. I think it's occurring too often, and we'll begin to wonder why. And very disheartening.
These pipes are not into the earth very seriously. Maybe they are on the surface. We need to know the depth of these pipes, how they have been laid. And of course, we also saw when we went round how some Nigerians decided to locate themselves very close to where these pipes are passing through.
This is purely an accident that has now exposed our preparedness and the level in which we take security concerns as it affects maybe where our pipe passes through.
Senate, however, observed a minute silence in honor of innocent Nigerians that lost their lives in the incidents.
But amid the coronavirus outbreak in the world, Nigeria has begun to take drastic measures. The 2020 edition of the National Sports Festival has been postponed. The decision was reached after a meeting with the Minister of Sports, Sunday Dare, his health counterpart, Dr. Osagi Hanere, and a few other experts at the health ministry. And that's actually a good one. The fact that the country has begun to be more conscious about the outbreak of COVID-19, and then we should learn how not to give in to chances. Because if we allow this national sports competition, the 2020 edition, to go ahead and let it just go run, what would happen? We have a lot of people coming in to witness it and to participate. So how do you now curb the outbreak of COVID-19?
And it's definitely not something that we should risk.
Right.
Because we can have sports events whenever. The year is still very, there's still so much time during the year. So we can move it to whenever, as long as, we've been able to, get a grip on this whole coronavirus situation. So that is very, very important.
And then I was also watching the news, I read on the news this morning that even the National Orientation Camp for the National Youth Service has also been disrupted.
Exactly.
Yes, because of the coronavirus outbreak. You can't have people gathered in a place.
Yeah, and then there's so many young people, and then the youth are definitely the strength of the country. Imagine if a breakout happens in a youth camp.
Right.
That would definitely be devastating. So it's important that we're taking these, conscious actions. And I saw a lot of people, a lot of youth coppers online posting. Some of them are actually quite happy. So we were like, thank you, coronavirus.
But then still in line with Nigeria ensuring measures to curb the outbreak of the COVID-19, the Nigeria Senate has also weighed in on it. They asked the federal government to ban travel to countries that are with high risk of coronavirus. Yes, the Nigerian Senate has actually asked the federal government to place ban on high-risk countries. Well, the report is up next. Stay with us.
To consider buying non-Nigerian travelers from countries with high risk of coronavirus. The Senate's resolution was sequel to a point of order raised during Tuesday's plenary session by its Health Committee Chairman, Senator Ibrahim Oloriegbe.
It is possible, and this is very important, that people should not travel to countries where we have highest risk. And these countries, now the epicenter is in Europe. Many countries in Europe are already affected. There are, including some countries in Middle East, like Iran and so on. And it is spread even in African countries now.
Oloriegbe said in addition to the ban, other prevention and control practices Nigerians should as well restrict traveling to worst-hit countries to curb the spread of the virus.
Our government, federal government, we need to increase capacity to screen people that are coming in because our borders are still open. That's number one, Mr. President. The second part of my advice will be to the government of Nigeria in terms of our preparation or our preparedness for these epidemics.
In his concluding remarks, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, agreed with his federal virus.
Talking about diseases in the country and also in the world, but then we'd have to talk about healthy living. Because as always on this program, we bring you tips on how better to take care of yourself and your health. And now, healthy living is one segment that I'm very particular about on this program because it helps you talk about how best to take care of your body and how, it is key, it is very pertinent.
Exactly. What I like most about healthy living is a lot of times it touchlights things that we don't actually take into consideration, things that we're not just upfront about. I like the fact that sometimes we hear things that we didn't even think about, and some things that don't ever cross our minds. Like today, it's all about binge eating disorder. The truth is, I don't know about Nigeria, but sometimes you don't take things like this seriously. There's actually people that feel very, embarrassed by their eating habits. You know, there's some people that get depressed, they eat and eat and eat, and it's actually a disorder. But you know, sometimes you just,
I think we overlook a lot of things in Nigeria.
Yeah, especially things that have
not
to
just
do
in
with
Nigeria, in the
mental
world.
Especially
mental health is there,
health
depression.
And stuff like that, yes.
We do not really talk about them. We do not confront them frontally because there are issues we're faced with. And look at this eating disorder now. The lots of Nigeria do not even know do not have an idea that there is actually an eating disorder that's known as binge, right? Well, healthy living is up next on an eating disorder. Stay with us.
Welcome to another episode of Healthy Living on Daybreak Africa. I'm Chiwendu, the Cecilia girl, and today we shall be discussing on binge eating disorder. When you feel like you can't stop, or even if you're already uncomfortably full, you may eat a lot quickly, even if you're not hungry. You feel ashamed about it. Unlike bulimia, you don't try to make yourself throw up or excite a lot after a binge. Experts don't know why some people develop binge eating disorder. It is more common in women than in men. In the US, about 3.5% of women, 5.6 million, and 2% of men, 3.1 million, have it. People who are obese are at higher risk of getting binge eating disorder, although people of normal weight can also get it. About 2 of every 3 people in the US who have the condition are obese. If you have binge eating disorder, you may have trouble handling your emotions or feel out of control in other ways. You may use food as a way to comfort or reward yourself. Skipping meals and other severe dieting may trigger a backlash of binge eating. The disorder often goes hand in hand with depression. Researchers are studying whether brain chemicals or metabolism play roles, and also runs in some families. Women are more likely than men to have it. Some people with binge eating disorder have gone through emotional or physical abuse or had addictions such as alcoholism. If that sounds like you, getting help with those issues will be part of getting better. Here are some symptoms of binge eating disorder. You eat more food than other people do in the same situation. You feel like you can't control how much you eat. Feel upset after you binge. Have an eating binge at least once a week for 3 months on average. You also have 3 or more of these symptoms. Eat much more quickly than normal. Eat enough to be uncomfortably full. Eat when you are not hungry. You eat a lot. Eat alone so no one will see how much food you are having. Feel guilty, disgusted, or depressed about your eating. People with binge eating disorder don't try to throw up after overeating. You can get other health problems related to gaining weight or healthy eating. 2. Such as type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, or heart disease. You also may have trouble sleeping, muscle and joint pain, and digestive problems. Women may have irregular or infrequent menstrual periods. People with eating disorder often try to hide it in order to get diagnosed, though you need to be open with your doctor. She's on your side. Your doctor may consider binge eating mild if it happens 1 to 3 times a week, moderate if it happens 4 to 7 times a week, severe if it happens 8 to 13 times a week, or extreme if it happens 14 or more times a week. And the treatment for binge eating. Beating binge eating disorder is not about willpower. Sometimes medications will be prescribed to suppress the desire to binge eat. It is the first FDA-approved drug to treat moderate to severe binge eating by curbing the binge eating episodes. You also need a help of a specialist, such as a psychologist. She may use an approach called cognitive behavior therapy, which focuses on what you do and how you feel. It can help you change your thoughts about eating and understand what triggers your binge. Your therapist may suggest that you include your family in counseling so that they can learn about the disorder, spot sources of stress at home, and know how to support you. Ask your doctor or therapist about finding a support group in your area. It can help to talk to other people who know what you are going through. You also may need help with other conditions such as depression or anxiety. A doctor may prescribe an antidepressant, a drug to help manage the urge to binge, such as the anti-seizure drug or other medications. In taking care of yourself, ask your doctor or therapist to recommend a nutritional counselor who can teach you about healthy eating. If you have diabetes or high cholesterol, you may need to limit certain types of food or lose weight. You need your doctor's advice on how to lose extra weight without triggering binge eating. The goal is to get healthier. It is not about numbers on a scale or serving sizes. It is about how you relate to food and to your own body. And that's the much we have for you today on Healthy Living on Daybreak Africa. I am Chiwende Osisiago. Daybreak Africa continues shortly.
Well, this is still Daybreak Africa.
And that was Healthy Living, giving us all information on binge eating. And it's very, very important for you to know these things. In case you're going through something and you don't exactly understand it, you don't know what it is about, at least now you know that this is what binge eating is. And you know what, to do. Conscious enough to make an effort in the right direction.
Right. Well, still talking about how gullible people can be, and then curbing crime and also miracles. We're moving over to a particular Nigerian pastor now who has come out to say something in the news. Pastor Chris Okafor of Mountain of Liberation and Miracle Ministry, aka Liberation City, Ojudu-Berga, Lagos, has dissociated himself from claims of performing fake miracle on a woman, Bosse Olasonkami, alleged to have been paid for the purpose. 5 pastors, including Pastor Okafor, were alleged to have paid and used the same woman with disfigured arm to perform similar fake miracle. The news of the fake miracle supposedly performed on the woman with disfigured hand trended on the social media space and some national dailies recently. Pastor Okafor, while addressing reporters in Lagos on Monday, through his counsel, Monday Ubani, denied claims that the woman was paid 400,000 naira for the miracle. Well, that's a big story right there.
Exactly. And the thing is, I remember when this thing was trending,
of course, I remember
different pastors performing the same
about
miracle
5 pastors
on the woman.
And now this pastor is coming out to say he didn't pay 400,000 to the woman for the miracle. But then I keep saying this thing over and over again. The fact that the lots of people, let me not just say Nigerians now, would go out there in the name of miracles, seeking miracles, and then meeting these supposed men of God who claim they are performing miracles, and then they are jumping from one pastor to the other. I also saw in the reports in one of the foreign countries where one of the men of God was spraying water, holy water, supposed holy water, in the mouth of the mouth of the church members. And now, because of that, now it has caused more spread of the coronavirus. And although away from the coronavirus, this one is about false prophecy and
then
miracle.
the thing is, people are actually quite gullible. A lot of people go where there's miracles, and there are a lot of fake pastors out there who just take advantage of people, and their neediness and the fact that everybody wants miracles. And truth be told, in this part of the world, miracles are actually a big deal. We're very, we like all of that.
And then I feel people are not patient enough with God.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have faith and you believe, I don't see the need for you to go about parading yourself in miracle houses, visiting pastors, men of God.
And at this point, the church has become like a business.
It's a business.
There are a lot of people that go into church.
Not just church, religious institutions are businesses.
Exactly.
Now.
People they know that, these people have some sort of respect for religion, and, they have, a lot of interest, and then they just take advantage of people and take advantage of it. Sometimes they even go as far as insinuating that some of your family members are the ones behind your
Right.
problems.
We've seen some bizarre stories in the news where someone has to go ahead and beat up his mom because a pastor told him the mom is responsible for his downfall, the mom is a witch, and all of that.
And it is so sad because as much as the world is moving and people are becoming more and more civilized, how come we still have a lot of people falling for some of these things?
This now brings me to the point. I saw a video yesterday making the rounds on social media where I think that video started from China. But I saw one creature. I think it was more like a graphic or something. The creature was moving up to the atmosphere. It disappeared into the thin air, and then some people were like, that's the coronavirus going out of the country, China. But then I know it's on a lighter note.
Exactly. Maybe
I just feel people are too gullible. They believe, the lots of them believed it, that was how coronavirus decided to leave China. And then I'm wondering, isn't this obvious that
I think sometimes people want, people are so hopeful that's easy to deceive them. They just want a solution. They want some kind of change. They're expectant of something big to happen. Sometimes when something is overwhelming, they just feel like some miracle, something just happens to change the situation. And then it gets easy for them to believe anything.
And then it makes them really, really, really gullible. Because you're now wondering, how do you even believe these stories? How do you even believe that someone can do something for you? This person is not God.
Not God.
Well, I guess at this juncture, we've come to the end of the program of the #1 and your favorite breakfast show, Daybreak Africa, on Television Nigerian. We know we have been able to keep you informed, educated, and also entertained. And we do hope to come your way tomorrow, bright and early, on this same platform, Television Nigerian, and on this program also, Daybreak Africa, to bring you another bumper package of the program. And from both of us here,
it's goodbye.
It's a goodbye and
God
bless. I'm Aisha Salim.
And I am Priscilla Ajaychola. Have an amazing day ahead.
Daybreak Africa. What makes it amazing? Is it the stories? Is it the wildlife? Is it the people? Daybreak Africa. News across Africa.